everything is flying, I don't know what to grab. Bitcoin is flying, Ethereum is flying, altcoins are flying. Now let's figure out what will happen next and the entry points for some altcoins. So for Bitcoin, let's immediately. The first thing I suggest to you is to immediately look at yesterday's forecast, which has already worked out 100%, which means that now we are moving according to our medium-term pattern, which was previously broken. We made a retest and of course, the main goal for this pattern. I told you that there are 108 thousands of dollars here is this zone. Well, practically we have actually reached it. There was a level of 104, 144. Maybe on some exchanges there were 104 or 200 something like that. So, well, okay, but in any case, the goals can already be said to be fixed, and what will happen next? The main question. Let's take a look at the RSI right away, what we have there on RSI. In principle, there is a lot of air here. There is a lot of it, in fact, and this is enough for a breakdown, because look. In this case, we have a PCA, and at this point, when we approached the historical maximum, it was at the level of 79. And the last time we were in this place, but here the RSI was very low, but nevertheless, you see, the diver was drawn bearish. So now the bearish diver is not drawn, but in general, this is the situation that the level of the RSI, and still that is, now 0.55 and above, of course, there is air for growth, it's good in fact. And now I'll tell you goals, and most importantly for altcoin. What to do with altcoins, we will analyze this a little later, and of course after the breakdown of this very zone. It is necessary here, of course, right? It is very important to gain a foothold higher so that we do not get a double top. Or how did such moments turn out in the 21st year, right? And look how it was last time. That is, right away here for those who say why do we need to be fixed for a week, why do we need to be fixed there for a day and so on. Here's a look at what the situation was in the 21st year. This very level of ATX, yes, of spring, and, accordingly, ATX has already reached a historical maximum in the fall. And look, we had a breakdown during the week, and accordingly, yes, we opened the candle above this level. But it closed in red anyway, and this suggests that this is a false breakdown. And in fact, it was necessary to at least exit positions here, you know. And now the same situation, you need to look very carefully, do not catch the background. I am Thomas, I understand of course when everything is flying, I think where to drop by, what to do and so on. But now we are just going to deal with this. In other words, what kind of situation turns out here? A similar situation. This is the very level, that is, it must necessarily be broken through for a week and gain a foothold for a week. So that we have a confident foothold. Here's 100% here. If we've been here before, there was a pattern that we traded. For some growth, there must be some kind of model. It's just that the market is growing. If we had a pattern here, then when we come to this place, we will have nothing for growth here. It needs to be understood. Therefore, there must be a lock here. Yes, there is still air. It is clear that the dominance of Bitcoin is descending into a very important zone. I will also show you now when exactly the growth that everyone is waiting for will begin. Yes, the alcohols just started to grow quite well, to grow up, but if we face it, they returned there at the end of last month. Yes, at the same prices. So let's move on to Bitcoin right away. So therefore, from this place it will be necessary, of course, to secure this. And then today I wrote in the Telegram channel that I will show you the goals for Bitcoin that are exactly along the Fibonacci line. From the momentum of this very zone, this momentum, and of course we had the 786th FIBA. And we have the first goals going $141,000. But this is after the breakdown here is this very level, you need to understand. That then we will have achieved the first goals for Bitcoin, $141,000. I am sure that this will happen very quickly, because at the weekend, We have a US delegation meeting with a Chinese delegation about duties there, and in this case, the markets may shake a little over the weekend, and in general, if they all agree there, everything will be fine. And of course growth will continue. So therefore, follow these levels and the key support level. It's clear that the best moment is to gain a foothold on the day, right? But nevertheless, since this pattern is fixed here, it's not really necessary. I've told you about it in previous videos. Right now, this zone is a key support zone, right key, right? So let's now move on to the dominance of Bitcoin. The key point I told you yesterday is that we will see after the breakdown of this yellow pattern, which is inside the pattern of this yellow pattern, we will see a significant spike in alcoholism. And so it happened, the pattern was worked out, the signal was worked out. It means that the resistance zone for 12 Bitcoins is in this place. And now we are coming right to the key zone of the medium-term pattern already. Here it is blue, firm, which we have started quite often. Here, of course, a breakdown is needed, and, of course, the generation of a correction of 12 Bitcoins, in order for the alcohols to begin their long-awaited straight parabolic growth. Well, imagine what will happen after we break through the long-term yellow pattern, but more on that later. Therefore, be sure to subscribe to the channel, so as not to miss these very stages, and when it's worth slowing down with altcoins, when it's worth dialing them, and so on. Now, in fact, this is the key moment. It often happens that you buy an altcoin, and then the next day everything went into correction. Now this can happen, that is, Bitcoin reaches the working out of the pattern, reaches its ATX. Some kind of local correction can go, and of course, from this level, altcoins can also adjust locally. I'm not talking about any big corrections, local corrections within the growth. This is where it will be possible to pick up these altcoins. And I was gaining altcoin. I have not entered the position 100% yet, but in any case we still have time. The market will not go anywhere. So, according to the capitalization of altcoins, remember I told you yesterday, the day before yesterday, this pattern began to work out everything, and, accordingly, the goals for this capitalization of altcoins are $300 billion. It is clear that there is still a zone here, and after this zone, we will have such an impulse. And then we will need to look at it, of course. Well, working out a medium-term pattern, here we have with one urgent pattern, of course, we get 370. And there are $440 billion for altcoin. That is, there can be such a significant growth here. This is just a breakdown of the blue line under the Bitcoin nation. And let me remind you that Bitcoin has already worked out this very pattern practically, and is now in this place. So we still have such a significant growth in altcoins. And note that we have Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin is growing. Bitcoin dominance is being adjusted, while the implementation of altcoins is growing. This is a very good sign, right? The coolest sign of continued growth. So further along the Ethereum. Ethereum, remember, yes, I showed you yesterday. Well, it's 100% working out in general. Just yesterday, this very C stage was shown in this video. Who came in, right? Tell your profit. We have started working out this pattern, and the goals, of course, I indicated in the last video. And look at the last video. Here in principle, the stage is the same. We have broken through, and of course we will achieve the goals. The goals I specified in the last video, go ahead, look at it. So further on the coins. A yen coin. A lot of people asked her. Let's see in this case what we have here. So yes, a lot of people came by the coin. I know that a lot of people came by 4.90 cents, 80 cents here in this place. There, it means that this Trump company, which is on cryptocurrencies, they also went to this place. And many people believe that, well, some of them no, so you need to go to this place. I didn't go there, I went much lower on the coin, and by the way, my average entrance came out even lower, or rather higher than it is now. There's an average entrance, I think I have 40 cents. Well, that is, this very zone I have an average entrance for it, but for this coin. And in general, everything looks pretty good here. But I can't say that there is some kind of steep stage right catastrophically here. But nevertheless there is certainly time to work out some levels here. Let's define the levels. Well, the first level at least, yes, at least you need to understand that we have a resistance zone here. Here it is, this resistance zone of 83.98 cents. Accordingly, there is another key point. The key level is also the zone of 60 cents, 380 tariff before correction. It is also very key. And of course the 236th FIBA. Look at how clearly everything fits together. At this point, we also have a resistance zone. Therefore, it is clear that these fibs need to be reached, and after the breakdown of the 236th FIBA, we will reach the end of the 786th FIBA, where we will need to look already. And perhaps I will fix some positions on it there. It will be necessary to go all over the market and see what happens. Well, maybe then after that we will draw such a triangle or a descending test, with the help of which we will be able to reject further. But, that is, a small correction will probably be possible. And there will already be an exit along this triangle according to the pattern. Again, this is a long-term, medium-term compiler, and not a scalp deal, keep in mind.